Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are opening a file that I think is going to surprise a lot of people. We are putting on our travel journalist hats, specifically our European travel journalist hats, and we are heading to a place that sits smack in the middle of the Irish Sea.
That's right. We are taking a stack of travel guides, government reports, historical archives, and yes, even transport timetables to build the ultimate planning guide for a first-time visitor to the Isle of Man.
And I think for a lot of travelers, especially those listening from mainland Europe, this place is a bit of a blind spot.
It really is. You see it on the map, this rock between England and Ireland, and you just assume it's, another county of the UK.
But when you actually dig into the documents, you realize it is something entirely different. It's a geopolitical anomaly.
It is. It's a self-governing crown dependency. And look, that sounds like a lot of legal jargon, but for a traveler, it has real practical implications.
Right.
It's neither part of the United Kingdom nor the European Union. It has its own parliament, its own laws, its own tax system, and even its own currency.
So our mission today is to take all these sources and build a comprehensive briefing. We're treating this as a guide for a European visitor looking to maximize a short trip, say 3 to 5 days.
Exactly.
We're going to focus on the geography, the incredibly unique transport network, and the heritage sites that you absolutely cannot miss.
Yeah, we want to move beyond the Wikipedia summary and get into the how-to. How do you navigate a transport system that runs on Victorian steam technology? How do you handle the currency quirks? And how do you pack 10,000 years of history into a long weekend?
Before we get into the logistics, let's do a vibe check based on the reading. If you had to summarize the atmosphere of the island for someone who has never set foot there, what are we looking at?
The phrase that kept popping up in the research was Europe in miniature. And initially I thought, okay, that's just marketing fluff.
Sure.
But when you look at the topography and the culture, it actually holds water. It's a UNESCO biosphere region, which tells you the nature is spectacular. You have these rugged, misty uplands that feel like the Scottish Highlands.
Okay.
You have glens that look like Wales. You have sandy beaches that could be, well, let's just say Cornwall on a good day.
And what about culturally? What's the feel?
It's a mashup. You have this deep layer of Celtic and Viking history because this was the center of a Viking kingdom, overlaid with a very heavy Victorian industrial heritage.
Yeah. And then, bizarrely, you have this modern layer of high-octane motorsport with the TT racing.
Exactly. It's a place of contrasts. You can be standing on a quiet, mist-covered Neolithic burial site 1 minute.
And the next, you're hearing a superbike tear down a country lane at 200 miles per hour.
That's it precisely.
Right. Now, before we start our tour, we have to touch on the practicalities, especially for our European audience. Because of that unique political status, entry requirements are specific.
They are.
Since Brexit, even though the Isle of Man isn't in the UK, it follows similar immigration rules.
Correct. The Isle of Man is part of the common travel area with the UK and Ireland, so the immigration rules align very closely with the UK's. You're coming from Europe or anywhere international, you need a passport.
The days of using a national ID card from an EU country are gone.
Mostly, yes, unless you have a very specific settled status. So rule number 1, pack the passport.
And rule number 2 involves your wallet. This is one of the most confusing aspects for visitors. The money.
It is a frequent point of friction. The currency is the Manx pound. Now, it's pegged exactly 1-to-1 with the British pound sterling.
So the exchange rate is never an issue.
Never an issue. If you have a pocket full of Bank of England notes, you can spend them in Douglas, no questions asked.
The problem arises when you try to leave.
Precisely. You will get Manx notes and coins back in your change. They look similar to UK currency, but feature Manx designs, the Triskelion local landmarks. These are not legal tender in the UK or Europe.
So if you fly back to Paris or Berlin with a wallet full of Manx cash,
you will find it very, very difficult to spend or exchange it.
So the strategy is,
yeah,
spend your Manx cash before you get to the airport, or ask a bank to swap it for sterling before you leave.
Or keep it as a souvenir. The designs are actually quite beautiful. But yes, financially speaking, don't take it home expecting to use it.
Okay. Let's land the plane. We are starting our journey in the capital, Douglas. And we really need to spend some time here because Douglas isn't just a city, it's the nerve center for the entire island.
Douglas is the anchor. If you look at the map, the island is roughly, 33 miles long and 13 miles wide? Douglas sits on the east coast, facing England. It's the primary port and the center of gravity for the population.
But we do need to manage expectations regarding scale. When we say capital city, we aren't talking about London or Paris.
No, not at all. We are talking about a population of around 28,000 people. It's large for the island. Roughly a third of the total population lives there. But by European standards, it's a small provincial town.
But it punches above its weight.
It does. In 2024, it was officially granted city status as part of the Platinum Jubilee celebrations. That was a massive psychological boost for the locals.
And historically, it wasn't always the capital, was it?
No. Until 1869, the capital was Castletown in the south. But Douglas had the better natural harbor. As trade grew, and especially as the Victorian tourism boom exploded, the center of gravity it shifted to Douglas.
It became the hub for everything.
Commerce, government, and definitely transport.
Let's talk about arrival. Most international visitors will likely fly in. You'll be landing at Ronalds Way Airport, code IOM.
Ronalds Way is located in Ballasalla, which is in the south of the island, maybe a 15 to 20-minute drive from Douglas.
And the connectivity is pretty good.
Surprisingly good. You've got short hops, 30 to 60 minutes from major hubs like London Heathrow, Gatwick, London City, Manchester, Liverpool, Birmingham, and Dublin. Mostly Loganair, EasyJet, and Aer Lingus.
Okay, so you land, you can take a taxi or the public bus, which is called
Busvennen. And their buses are modern, reliable, and they stop right outside the terminal. But if you want to start your trip with a bit of magic, there is a secret option.
I love this. Tell us about the Ronalds Way halt.
So just a short walk from the airport terminal, maybe 5 minutes across the car park, is a request stop on the Isle of Man Steam Railway. It's called Ronalds Way Halt.
A request stop. So you have to flag it down.
You literally stick your hand out, and a Victorian steam train will chug to a stop and pick you up.
That beats an airport shuttle bus any day of the week.
It really does. You climb aboard a wooden carriage that smells of polished wood and coal smoke, stash your luggage, and take a 20-minute steam ride directly into the heart of Douglas. It completely reframes the arrival experience.
You're not just commuting, you're entering a different era.
Instantly.
And that really sets the tone for the transport system, doesn't it? Douglas is the hub for what I think is one of the most interesting integrated transport networks in the world.
It absolutely is. And this is where we have to talk about the Go Explore card. This is critical. If you are a tourist, do not buy single tickets. It's not efficient.
Right. The Go Explore card. This is your golden ticket.
It gives you unlimited travel on the buses, the steam trains, the electric trams, and the horse trams. You can buy it for 1, 3, 5, or 7 days. It turns the whole island into a hop-on, hop-off experience.
And considering how expensive heritage railways usually are in Europe, this card is exceptional value.
Huge value.
You mentioned horse trams. Let's unpack that because that sounds archaic.
It is delightfully archaic. The Douglas Bay Horse Tramway has been running since 1876. It runs along the promenade, which is this beautiful 1.6-mile curve along the seafront.
So these are actual trams on rails pulled by heavy horses.
Clydesdales and Shires mostly. They're affectionately known as trammers. It connects the sea terminal where the ferries from Liverpool and Heysham come into the terminus of the Manx Electric Railway at the other end.
It's not fast, I'm guessing.
No, it's about slowing down and just seeing the Victorian facade of the city glide by.
Okay, so while we are in Douglas, before we hop on any of these amazing trains, what are the must-sees within the city limits?
You have to start at the Manx Museum. It's free, which is great, but more importantly, it gives you the context you need for everything else you're going to see. It covers 10,000 years of history.
And the collections are surprisingly rich. I was reading about the Viking silver hoards.
The Isle of Man has more Viking silver found per square kilometer than pretty much anywhere else. It really shows you how central this island was to the Norse kingdom of Man and the Isles.
And they have a gallery for the TT races now, too, right?
They do. A fantastic one. It helps you understand that whole culture without having to be there during the chaos of race week.
And if you look out into Douglas Bay, you can't miss that little castle on the rock.
The Tower of Refuge. It looks like a little sand castle. It sits on Conister Rock. It was built in 1832 by Sir William Hillary, the founder of the RNLI, the lifeboat institution.
Oh, okay.
He saw so many ships wrecking on that rock that he built a shelter there so shipwrecked sailors could survive until help arrived. It's a beautiful symbol.
And for a bit of culture.
The Gaiety Theater. If you like architecture, this is non-negotiable. It was designed by Frank Matcham, who was the superstar theater architect of the Victorian era. It is remarkably preserved.
You can see shows there.
Oh, yeah, they still put on shows. And you can do backstage tours. It's like stepping back into the 1890s. And there's one more curiosity on Douglas Head, the camera obscura.
Another Victorian thing.
A total Victorian gem. It uses a series of mirrors and lenses to project a live image of the bay onto a table in a darkened room. It sounds simple in the age of 4K video, but it's actually mesmerizing.
Okay, so we've established Douglas as our base camp. We've got our Go Explore card. Now I want to see the rest of the island. Let's head south first.
And we are taking that steam railway we mentioned earlier.
The Isle of Man Steam Railway. This is a narrow gauge line opened in 1874, running 15 miles from Douglas to Port Erin.
And I want to emphasize, this isn't a museum train that goes in a 1-mile loop. This is a functional part of the transport network. It runs to a timetable. Commuters use it.
And the carriages are the original wooden ones.
Many are, yes. You hear the creak of the wood, you smell the coal smoke, you see the steam drifting past the window. It is a time machine.
So we take the train south. Our first major stop is Castletown.
The ancient capital. If Douglas is the Victorian city, Castletown is the medieval one. And it is completely dominated by Castle Rushen,
which is described in the sources as one of the best preserved medieval castles in Europe.
It really is. It was the home of the kings and lords of man. It's a limestone fortress right in the center of the town. You can climb to the battlements for a panoramic view, but the interior is just as fascinating, very atmospheric.
And right nearby is the old House of Keys.
Yes. This was the Parliament building before they moved to Douglas. They've turned it into a fantastic interactive museum. You sit in the actual debating chamber, and they guide you through historical debates.
So you actually get to vote.
You actually vote on laws that were passed or rejected in the 19th century. It's a great way to understand the island's independent streak.
And there's a nautical museum there, too, I believe.
There is Housing the Peggy, which is a very significant 18th century armed yacht. It was walled up in a boat cellar for over a century, which preserved it.
Wow.
Although visitors should check the current status, as there has been extensive conservation work going on, so she might be off-site.
Good tip. So we get back on the steam train, chug a bit further south, and we hit the end of the line. Port Erin.
Port Erin is beautiful. It's a classic seaside resort. It sits in a sheltered bay with a sandy beach, surrounded by high cliffs. It has a very different vibe to Douglas, much more relaxed.
And for the train enthusiasts, there's a railway museum right at the station.
Yep. If you want to geek out on the engines and the rolling stock, that's the place. But for me, the real draw is looking up at Broad Ahead. There's a distinctive tower there called Milner's Tower.
That's the one built for the lockmaker.
William Milner of Milner's Safes fame. He was a great benefactor to the town. The tower is actually shaped like a key, which is a lovely touch. The hike up there gives you stunning views.
Now, if we want to go to the absolute tip of the island, we have to leave the train and take a bus from Port Erin to the Sound.
The Sound is spectacular. It's the southernmost point of the main island. You look across a stretch of turbulent water to a smaller islet called the Calf of Man.
And this is the spot for wildlife.
Absolutely. The Calf of Man is a bird sanctuary. But even from the main island, at the Sound, you are almost guaranteed to see seals basking on the rocks or playing in the current.
So you can just sit and watch them.
There's a cafe there with big glass windows. You can watch the seals and the crashing waves while having a coffee. It feels very wild, very remote.
Okay, let's head back to Douglas and look west. We're going to Peel.
Ah, Peel. Sunset City. Being on the west coast, it gets these incredible sunsets over the Irish Sea.
And it's famous for a castle as well.
Peel Castle. But it's very different from Castle Rushen. Rushen is a solid, intact fortress in the middle of a town. Peel Castle stands on St. Patrick's Isle, connected by a causeway. It's a massive ruin.
Some more rugged.
Much more rugged. It encompasses a Viking fortress and an ancient cathedral. It feels more exposed to the elements.
And it has a ghost story. We have to tell the story of the Maudie Dew.
The Maudie Dew, or the Black Dog. The legend says a spectral black dog used to haunt the guardroom of the castle. The soldiers were, terrified of it.
I would be too.
One night, a drunken soldier boasted that he wasn't afraid and went to lock the gates alone, challenging the dog to follow him.
Oh, not a good idea.
Not a good idea. His screams were heard, but when they found him, he was speechless with terror. He died 3 days later. The dog was never seen again. It's a classic piece of Manx folklore.
I love that. And Peel also has a museum that dives deep into the Celtic and Viking heritage, right?
The House of Manannan. This is arguably the best museum on the island for storytelling. It's very interactive. It guides you through the Celtic myths, the arrival of the Vikings. They even have a full-scale replica of a Viking longship, Odin's Raven, inside.
So that's where you really understand the island as a sea kingdom.
That's it. And you can't talk about Peel without talking about food, specifically a very smoky fish.
Manx kippers.
Manx tippers, herring that have been split salted and cold smoked over oak chips. Peel is the traditional center for this. You can see the curing yards. Grabbing a kipperbap or some ice cream on the breakwater is a must.
Okay, we've done south, we've done west. Now let's go north. And for this, we are switching modes of transport again.
We're leaving the steam train behind and hopping on the MER, the Manx Electric Railway.
The system dates from 1893. These are electric trams. Some of them are even open-sided toast rack cars.
And this isn't a flat ride. It's incredibly scenic. It winds along the cliff tops. You have the hills on one side and this sheer drop down to the sea on the other. It's a thrilling ride.
Our first major stop on this line is Laxey.
Laxey is famous for one big thing, literally big. The Great Laxey Wheel, also known as Lady Isabella.
The largest working water wheel in the world.
It is, built in 1854. And it wasn't for grinding corn. It was industrial. It was built to pump water out of the deep zinc and lead mines that run under the valley. It's a masterpiece of Victorian engineering.
And you can climb it.
You can climb right up the spiral staircase to the top of the wheel structure. The views are amazing.
And from Laxey, you can transfer to yet another railway. This island really loves its trains.
They do. This is the Snaefell Mountain Railway. It climbs steeply from Laxey right to the summit of Snaefell, the island's highest point at 621 meters.
And the view from the top is legendary. They say you can see 7 kingdoms.
That's the saying. On a clear day, you can see the Kingdom of England, the Kingdom of Ireland, Scotland, Wales, the Kingdom of Man, and the last 2.
The Kingdom of Heaven and the Kingdom of the Sea.
Exactly. It's a poetic way of describing just how central the mountain feels.
So if we come back down the mountain and continue north on the electric tram, we reach the end of the line, Ramsey.
Ramsey is the main town in the north. It has a different feel again. It's often cited as the sunniest spot on the island because of the rain shadow effect of the hills.
What are the highlights there?
They are restoring the Queen's Pier, which is a massive Victorian iron pier. It's a huge community-led project. And there's Morrell Park, a classic Victorian park with a lake. It's a good place to relax before the long tram ride back to Douglas.
We've covered the geography, but we need to talk about the culture and the quirks. Because the Isle of Man has some very specific rules and traditions that a visitor needs to know.
Oh, it does. And the most important one involves a bridge.
The ferry bridge.
Yes. If you are driving or taking the bus from the airport to Douglas, you will cross a small bridge called the ferry bridge. It is absolute custom, and I mean, locals do this, taxi drivers do this, everyone does this, that you must greet the ferries.
You have to say hello.
You say L'ami, which is Manx for good day, or just hello ferries, the Muinjer Vegi in Manx. If you don't, the superstition is that you will have bad luck for the rest of your visit.
I am definitely saying hello. I don't want to risk that.
People take it surprisingly seriously.
Now, we touched on it earlier, but Tynwald, we mentioned the buildings, but the spiritual home is Tynwald Hill at St. John's.
Yes, this is in the center of the island. It's a 4-tiered, grassy hill. This is where the Parliament meets outdoors once a year on July 5th, Tynwald Day, to proclaim the laws to the people in both Manx and English.
And this tradition goes back over 1,000 years.
Over 1,000 years. It is said to be the oldest continuous parliament in the world. It's a direct link to the Viking assembly traditions. It's an incredible piece of living history.
And speaking of traditions, the 3 legs of man, you see the symbol everywhere.
The Triskelion. 3 armored legs joined at the thigh. The motto is Kokonki Jessera Stabit. Whichever way you throw it, it will stand. It's a symbol of resilience and independence.
Now, a quick note on the elephant in the room, or perhaps the motorbike in the room, the TT races.
Yes. For 2 weeks in late May and early June, the island transforms. The tourist trophy. It is the most famous and dangerous road race in the world.
What's our advice for the casual tourist?
Look, if you love motorsport, it is a pilgrimage. You must go. But you need to book ferries and accommodation a year in advance. It is packed.
And if you're not a motorsport fan?
If you're a regular tourist who wants to see the castles, ride the trains, and enjoy the peace and quiet, do not go during TT fortnight. The roads are closed, the prices skyrocket, and the island is full. Pick literally any other time of the year.
That is very solid advice. So let's wrap this up. We've unpacked a lot. What does this all mean for the traveler?
I think the Isle of Man offers a density of experience that is hard to find elsewhere. In a few days, you can ride a steam train, climb a mountain, walk through a medieval castle, see a Viking longship, and eat fresh seafood by a harbor. It's so compact.
And that Europe in miniature tag really holds up.
It does. And the transport system using that Go Explore card makes the journey just as fun as the destination. You aren't just sitting on a bus. You are riding through history.
My final tip, don't rush. It's an island. Embrace the tra d'Elior, the Manx phrase for time enough.
And here's a thought to leave you with. We talk about microstates in Europe, like San Marino or Andorra, but the Isle of Man is unique because of that sea barrier. It has maintained its own language, its own parliament, and its own identity for a millennium right in the middle of the British Isles.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, in a globalized world, are there other places that have managed to hold on to their distinct soul quite as firmly as the Manx have?
That is a great question. Something to think about while you're greeting the fairies on the bridge. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the Isle of Man. We'll see you next time.
Safe travels. Or, as they say in Manx, gurami u.